There's nothing more frustrating than knowing what to do, but not actually doing it. And so let's talk about why this happens. Let's talk about why you are struggling to show up, failing to be consistent, and just having a hard time actually changing your life. So I have been a life coach for the past 6 years, and I've also been on my own journey of personal development and growth and manifesting and changing my life for about 10 years now, actually since 2014, so 12 years, which is pretty crazy. And so I have thought about this quite a bit. I have lived through this a lot. And what I've noticed is that there are like 3 main reasons why we know what to do, but we're not doing it, aka why we are failing to take action and struggling to be consistent. So I'm going to talk through each of these 3 reasons. Think about whether or not this is you, and then we're going to talk about what to do about it. And if you are a person who likes to take notes, don't even worry about it, because I have put together a free habit, productivity, and routines guide that is going to help you really stick to the habits and the routines and the things you know you need to be doing so that you can change your life. This guide has journal practices, it has information, and it's just going to really support you in creating that next level version of yourself by showing up consistently in the ways that you know you need to show up. So if you are a person who takes notes, you are more than welcome to, but you don't have to take notes because I've done it all for you down at the link below that you can access right away. So without further ado, why are you struggling to take action? What's going on beneath the surface? The first thing that I typically see is that people are afraid to fail. Once you have put in a certain amount of effort, it gets more and more painful, embarrassing, shameful, whatever, frustrating. It gets more and more emotionally uncomfortable to fail. And that is something that goes up the more effort you put in. If you don't put in effort, or if you just try a little bit but not really, and then you fail, it's always like, oh well, I probably would have succeeded, but I didn't really try that hard. But if you give it your all, if you show up day after day, if you are consistent, if you are committed, if you are focused, and you still fail, for a lot of people that is like so devastating that they don't even want to think about it, and they put themselves in a position where that could never happen because they do not take enough action to start expecting results and to start expecting success. So you might be secretly avoiding failure by not putting in enough action. But really, you kind of played yourself, because you're going to fail anyway. If you don't take action, you will fail by default. If you do take action, you might fail, but you'll learn a lot along the way, and you will be able to use those lessons in order to actually succeed next time. And this is actually a good moment to do a shameless plug. I have a podcast called the U 2.0 podcast, and on there I have an episode, I believe it is episode 150. It is around episode number 150, called How I'm Processing a Recent Failure. And it really talks you through how to relate to failure in a healthy way and how to actually learn from failure so that you don't have to be so afraid of it anymore. And so that you don't have to do these like sneaky little things to avoid failure. So if I'm talking about this and it's resonating with you and you're like, ooh, Samara, I think I am afraid to put in effort because I'm afraid that if I put in effort and I fail, I won't be able to handle it emotionally, go and listen to that podcast episode. It's on the U 2.0 podcast. It's called How I'm Processing a Recent Failure. And that will help you to just demystify the whole thing and to feel better about it and to actually take action in a way that leads you to your goals. So the next reason why you might be failing to take action or just struggling to be consistent is that you are in the messy middle. So the messy middle is the point at which you have taken action and it's very uncomfortable, and you're putting yourself out there, and it's scary, and you haven't seen any results yet. And you're kind of at the point where it's like, why am I putting myself out there? And why am I doing all this uncomfortable stuff? And why am I like stretching myself and pushing myself and going out of my comfort zone? And I'm not even getting anything out of it. And that is really frustrating. And the frustration of being in that place is making you think it is better to quit and like cut your losses than to keep going. But I want to tell you right now, the messy middle happens for everyone. It is unavoidable. There is no amount of like inner work or self-development or anything you can do to evolve beyond the messy middle. There will always be a point where you are putting in work and you're not seeing the results yet. The results always come on a delay, but the only way to guarantee that you never get the results is to quit now. So you have to be willing to go through the messy middle and just remind yourself, this is normal, it's okay, results are coming. And that's actually a really good time to tune into the podcast episode I mentioned about how I'm processing a recent failure. And actually, I'll just put that down in the description below, because that's going to be a very good companion to this video. And I know that if you love this video, you're going to get a lot out of that episode, and it's going to help you, because it really just comes back to the frustration of I'm doing this, and I'm not getting the results. And that's when a lot of people give up. And so if you notice that you're struggling to stay consistent, ask yourself if you fell off the wagon or if you stopped showing up because you were putting in a lot of work and you were not getting the results, and then it just didn't feel worth it anymore. And the final thing that I want to say is that a lot of people do not stay consistent. They fail to show up for themselves because it's hard. Like, it's actually so challenging to do the uncomfortable thing that is going to change your life, let alone to do it over and over and over every day, knowing that you might fail, knowing that the results are going to be delayed, but still being willing to keep showing up. Like, that is hard. That takes resilience, that takes emotional capacity, like that takes a certain level of like delusion to keep convincing yourself that it's worth it. But at the end of the day, you have to convince yourself that it's worth it, because it is going to be hard. And there's no way around it being hard. If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And I'm not saying that you need to martyr yourself and suffer and burn yourself out. That is something that I had to talk to one of my clients about recently. It's not about suffering, but it is about embracing that it's a challenge. Embracing the challenge in a way that you're still resting, you're still taking breaks, you're still always getting support. Like, it's not like you make it hard on yourself, but there's going to be a point at which it's just hard because you are at the edge of what you are capable of, and you have to become capable of more, and that is uncomfortable. That is true in fitness, that is true in your career, that is true in relationships. When you want to maintain harmony with your loved ones and you need to have hard conversations, and maybe you would rather just give them the silent treatment and not talk to them, or maybe you would rather just like go off on them and tell them all the reasons why they're wrong and you're right, but you actually have to do the uncomfortable thing of sitting there and having a discussion, having a real heart-to-heart conversation, and that can be tricky and challenging and just uncomfortable and vulnerable. And that vulnerability and that discomfort, no matter what area of your life it's in, is a lot of the reasons why people don't continue forward. It's a lot of the thing that knocks people out is like, it's tough. And so it is. And the way around that is to just decide, I like the version of myself who shows up for this. I am worthy and deserving of getting to the other side. And I know that if I keep going, I will get to the other side. So it is my commitment to myself that even when it's hard and uncomfortable, and even when the results are delayed, and even when it seems like I'm failing, even though I'm trying so hard, I'm going to keep going. And I'm committed because this matters to me. And so for some of you, it's like, connect to your why. Why do you even want to do this in the first place? When you disconnect from the bigger picture, when you disconnect from your reason for doing this, it is so easy to quit. But when you sit down and you remind yourself, This is why I have this fitness goal. This is why I have this career goal. This is why I have this financial goal. This is why I have this goal of what I want my relationships to look and feel like. This is why I want this life for myself. When you actually sit down and answer that question of why do you want this, that will motivate you and light a fire under you to keep showing up. And so for some of you, it's like, ask yourself that question every day, and that will keep you going. Okay. That is what I have for you today. If you loved this and you want more of this, make sure you listen to that podcast episode. Make sure you download that free guide on habits, routines, and productivity, because that is going to help you really show up as that next level version of yourself as consistently as you need to in order to get results. And I just have to let you know, I am a life coach. I do this with clients. I do this for a living. And if you want to do this work with me, if you're curious about what that would be like, you can also go down below and book a coaching consultation. That is a free introductory session where we get to know each other and we explore what it would be like to be in a coaching relationship. What would it be like if you were my client? So if you want to learn more about that, head down to the description below. I love you so much, and I will see you again very, very soon in another video. Mwah. Take care.